Yuvraj.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening to everyone present here. I am Yuvraj Singh, delegate of Sambhav Initiative and the moderator of this event. On behalf of organizing committee, I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed dignitary, Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh, ma'am, and to all the participants in this one-week online national capacity building program on data privacy laws and artificial intelligence, jointly organized by the Sambhav Initiative, which is working towards alternative dispute resolution, free legal aid, mental health, and creating legal literacy. Organized this program under the direction of and guidance of the Patron in Chief of the Sambhav Initiative, Honorable Mr. Justice C.K. Thakkar, former Judge of the Supreme Court of India. Honorable Mr. Honorable Mr. Justice M.R. Sasar, former Judge of Supreme Court of India, and Pro Bono India, which is working towards legal literacy and legal aid, from 28th May 2025 to 5th May 2025, wherein various dignitaries will going to deliver the session in upcoming 7 days on various topics related to data privacy laws and artificial intelligence. Before we start the session, please adhere to some webinar etiquette. I request all the attendees to keep their microphones muted during the session. If you have any questions, please use the chat box or raise your hand. Before I move forward, I would like to mention that the last few minutes of the session will be reserved for the Q&A. Now, I would like to introduce first speaker of this capacity building program. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Rekha Kumari Singh, ma'am. She is an acclaimed academician who has obtained her law degrees from Sardar Patel University, Vidyanagar, with gold medals in both LLB and LLM courses in years 2007 and 2019, respectively. Subsequently, she pursued her PhD from Veer Narmad South Gujarat University, Surat. She has also pursued diploma in IPR and management from GNLU. She is having a wide experience of teaching in various law courses at different universities such as MS University and SP University, with an experience of around 13 years. Will must be stronger than the skill is the mantra she has firmly believed and had demonstrated the same in being the founder and first principal of Anand College of Legal Studies. She has also been awarded as the best research paper presenter in international and national conferences. She has also published more than 35 research papers in national and international journals. She is an social activist and has also rendered her services in different areas with purpose of social development and giving back to the society. Ma'am has also awarded Best Presentation for Case Study by ISTD. She is trained at Maruti Suzuki Sales Executive and also rendered number of training sessions at different organizations. She is also faculty impaneled at CET, Government of Gujarat, and proud to share recently she has also appointed as officiating charge dean, Faculty of Law, Sardar Patel University. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are perfectly audible.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Firstly, I am not able to recall your name, but good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for a kind introduction because it is really grateful on my part that I'm getting this opportunity from the organizer for actually speaking on the very very important topic which is considered to be need of an hour, because we know that we are living in this digital era, and especially after covid we have seen drastically change in terms of digitalization, because that has really impacting our day-to-day life. So if we talk about our data, whether it is like phone number, our name, even our shopping habits or any financial details, it is really playing very very important and crucial role in everyone's life. And I really congratulate organizer for conducting such a very very important topic, because this is something new area, new need also, where as a law student or law faculty we should be acquainted with these fundamentals like law, which has been introduced in our country. Although we are not in much of the practice, but the more, like we know that gold ke bhav itne zyada hain abhi. Okay, so the day by day it is so much high. But in the same manner, when we talk about our data, this is also playing a role of gold in our life. And that's why it is a huge responsibility for us to ensure the protection, ensure the multinational companies when they are using it, uh, as, such as Google, then whether it is a Microsoft app like applications, whenever they are using, they are taking, they are sharing those information, it's very very importantly. uh, can I share my PPT? It is visible? No?
Ma'am, not visible yet.
Okay, okay, just give me 1 minute, 1 minute.
Hello.
Now it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible now.
Now it is visible, my PPT is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, great. So I was talking about when it comes to multinational companies, which I give an example of Apple, Microsoft, or there are plethora of like application and companies. When they are using our data, whether they are taking, they are collecting, they are saving, they are sharing, they are using. So the personal information, whatever they are using, they are taking, it should be used with care and handle and respect our privacy. So because we know that we are really facing number of challenges, like it's like when you talk about social media hacking, information is still certain that datas are misused. So around the world, it is a duty enshrined on the government that we should protect these data, and most important, that is people's right, and mostly how the companies can handle with care. So moving further, the topic which has been given to me is overview of that is data protection laws and regulation. Although this topic is very wide, it is not that uh, easily completed in 1 hour 15 minutes span of time. But still I tried to cover the basic and fundamental of the foundation, to create the session, so that in upcoming days the topic which has been laid down in the brochure, that will be easier for everyone to go through and understand the concept of that is data protection. So the topic which I have included in this session is what that is data protection means, what is it datas, what are the types of datas like which we are considering is important. Then of course how the historical context, how it has grown, when we see the before independence and after independence, and how it has grown in terms of requirement and need to protect these laws. Apart from that, it is very essence to understand the international perspective, because we know that we are signatory of that is TRIPS and WTO, where we have following the that is guidelines and norms which has been implemented in our country. So I'm also going to try to include the various other countries, what they have been commenced with the data protection laws. And of course, very importantly, the concern is in India, what laws we are applying in terms of interpreting the that data protection laws. And when we talk about the laws, it is very essence to understand the principles of that is data protection. Why? Because the jurisprudential aspect is very much required to understand the fundamental principles of these laws which has been implemented in our country. And apart from that, I will highlight most few key provisions of India, that is data protection laws. And lastly, we'll try to cover the challenges and future perspective, which we need to understand that what are the challenges which we are going to face in upcoming days. So when we heard or when we hear this word data protection, means in simplified way, when we say, means keeping people's sensitive information, and these need to be kept in safety, because in today's world we are doing number of transaction, whether it is a social media, whether it is a shopping, whether it is online banking. It is very important that data whatever has been taken from us, it need to be protected. The information what has been taken from as a consumer, or whether as a like banking sector, where or otherwise social media, whether it's a Facebook, whether it is Instagram. So these informations are really needed, that these should not be stolen, misused, or leaked. So it is not just only about following the rules, but whenever any company or the organization, they collect our that data, it is very important that, because whenever we are providing our data in terms of any information, then we trust that those organization, for example, if I shared information on Facebook or oblique on Insta, I believe that that is Insta, that is the authority, the organization will ensure that there should be no serious problem in terms of identity theft, whether in terms of social media or when it comes to banking sector. There should not be money loss, because it's play a very important role, because it's very easy when your information, your reputation, which causes damage. I remember, like, I've stopped using Facebook because my account has been hacked, and then the hacker has been asking money. And it is good that my image is a reputation in such a way that people trust that no, Rekha ma'am can't ask money. Okay, so it really comes to your identity, your image, your reputation. So over time we have seen that once we see after COVID that data protection has really matter of concern, and also it required to be improved. Because if you see in foreign countries like in Europe, the GDPR laws has was created to give protection to the people in terms of their protection data, but also they ensured that company, when they are taking such data, that need to be handle it properly. So data protection is just not a right, but it is also a duty, the responsibility to build a trust, to that whenever we are imparting, we are giving those datas, that need to be trusted in the digital world. So data protection is considered a very, very essence, safeguard, sensitive information, because digital, we are revolving, evolving, in fact, and that's why the in contemporary data legislations, we require to understand that what are the challenges, what are the lacunas, where we are lacking, and where we need to train, so that it is just not about laws, but also to create the awareness, to understand where is the gap which we are actually existing in today's time. So before I go like into detail, let us understand that how far this when we talk about this definition in terms of uh, hello. Yes. When we talk about the definition part, let's understand in simple word, like simple language, what exactly the data protection means. So data protection, which already I've explained you, that it's very important to keeping your personal information safe and private. And when it comes to digital, if it is in the digital platform, whether it is in your social media, whether it is in your email, whether it is your banking, so these are digital data. And the digital, that is data protection means your personal information should be kept safe. It can be anything related to your details. So for example, imagine like if you have, like you are shopping online on any of the website, okay, so you have given your phone number. So now once you are giving your phone number, it's obvious that these data should be kept protected by the company who is taking your good data protection. Means they should use your phone number only for delivering your package or sending updates, not to sell your like phone number to other company, or for marketing calls, or giving to some other companies which they can use for easily. You have seen, like I remember ki when we were asking ki like one of the organization, they have commenced, so they said ki we need to send bulk messages. So I was surprised that how these bulk messages is used in terms of providing just for the purpose of sale and for the purpose of registration. So in fact, the companies, because from where they get these numbers. So but obvious, when it comes to from law perspective, it is very important that data protection refers to legal control over the access and use of your personal data. Means ensuring that whatever information personally you have given to the company, whether they are storing it, they are processing it, they should be using it lawful, fair and transparent manner. And although there is no exact particular definition, but yes, when it comes to data protection, it is required that legal control by the authority, that they should not be used excess and without the consent of the owner, that can be misused, because otherwise it will be illegal and unfair and transparent way, which is considered to be not fair on the part of the company. But when we see the Information Technology Act, under section that is 2 uh, subclause 1O, which talk about, that is personal data. Means Digital Personal Data Protection Act define how data must be collected and how it should be protected. So these terminology has been used under the we can say in IT, as well as under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Apart from that, if we talk about the the landmark cases, because this has given reason or profound the basis of containing that it is very much needed in terms of protection is required. Like we know the landmark case of Justice K.S. Puttaswamy, that is a retired judge of Karnataka versus Union of India. This case was reported in 2018, and this is regarding Aadhaar case. So, if you see in this Aadhaar case, this case was actually challenged regarding the Aadhaar Act on the ground that it actually violates right to privacy. As we know, right to privacy was not directly exposed in terms of fundamental rights, but it is very much constrained that this is exposed to citizens and these data should not be misused. So Supreme Court in this case has been held that Aadhaar is considered to be constitutionally valid, and but impose certain restriction, that such as limiting the use of welfare programs, where government cannot be using is those data just because they have registration and all details of that is are citizen of a country. So this judgment has given strict guidelines that how personal data should be handled by the government of India, as well as not only for the government authority or the public sectors, but also for the private entities. So this is actually highlighting the protection of biometric, we can say, data and other information, under other personal information should be protected. In the same manner, when we see Swami versus Union of India, which also talked about specifically in 2019, it talks about that is right to privacy and data protection. So, frankly speaking, this case was another important case which has built, in 2017 verdict by the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court judges had deliberately balanced between the privacy and the state interest. Means just because the government interest cannot be misused uh, when it comes to protection of personal data. So court actually stressed that uh, personal data should be treated with care, and it should be subject to restriction. Means you cannot just use for your own interest. And that's why we can say, because of this case, that data protection laws India was considered to be ground, the platform where it was needed for the government, that they should felt that there is a need to provide and to come up with the statute for the protection of data protection laws in India. Apart from that, if we see the last case. Yes, the Google India Private Limited versus that is Indian Union. So this was again, the case was regarding protection of personal data in the context of online services. So, for example, when it comes to how Google has handling the user data, particularly in relation to search engine and advertising services. So there must be a clear direction which has been given by the Supreme Court, that regulation and data collection, and most important, clear instruction which has to be taken from the user, means their consent by the tech companies. So they should actually take consent, and without taking consent they cannot be providing those details in terms of advertising services or the search engines. So what we see, although there are a plethora of list of when we say in terms of data protection, where the judiciary has tried and interpreted, despite we do not have the direct, that is fundamental rights, but yes, they ensured that it is very important in terms of, because when we say important of data protection, it is very important to create the private safe, from the content from the strangers. Same manner, whenever we are providing the data to the company, that need to be trusted. Apart from that, they need to be protect those data which we have submitted. Same manner, very much required that after submitting data we are building the trust, and once we build the trust, we ensure that those cannot be misused. And also, the identity theft and online fraud should be prevented. Otherwise, it is very difficult for any layman or citizen or any person to provide those data. In fact, sometimes there is a lot of challenges when people are using it in terms of those data should be misused, and those are gained on the terms of monetary benefits. And then automatically we are a normal layman is actually facing a lot of challenges. So slowly steadily we have seen that compulsion of data protection was considered to be very important concern, and not only for the individual reputation or benefits, but also very importantly for the renowned, like companies, they need to save their reputations. And the company should not, uh, uh, they cannot should lose customers, because once it, because we know, I have seen that, for example, Apple, I've seen normally in other phones it was very easy to to store the data which is there in your phone. But because of the mobile, that is of Apple, they have more higher security, more that because of their reputation they do not compromise. So that's why it is considered that data protection is very much needed. Now, if we talk about, there are different types of data, because that's very important that we have understood data protection is very important in today's time. And again, in upcoming time, it is morely, like, very sensitively need to be protected. So when we talk about types of data, there are, simply if we say, there are three types of data. One is personal, second is sensitive, and third is that is non-personal data. So when we talk about personal data, I don't think that need to be explained, that but obvious it is about your individual identity, because it is about information, personal information. And that talks about your names, your address, your contact details. So these all data need to be handled very carefully. Okay. Apart from that, when we talk about sensitive datas, so these are very, very, need to be, when we say sensitive, frankly speaking, it talks about it needs to be taken extra care, extra protection, because it is very, very private. So for example, if we talk about your medical reports, like you have submitted to any of the hospital, same manner any fingerprints, your religion, your passwords, your bank details. So these all are very sensitive data which need to be, like, for example, if you are talking about your you have heard that, if in any of the bank they are asking your password, that need to be not to be shared. So in the same manner, credit cards, when there is a, two ways, verification is there, so that security of your uses of your OTP and the other necessary elements need to be taken care. Same manner, when we talk about the third type of data is non-personal data. Now this is very, very unique in nature. Why? Because when it comes to data which is not about any specific person. Now for example, you have seen कि जब आप लोग ट्रैफिक में जा रहे होते हो, like, okay, you are traveling on roads, you have switch on your GPS, you will see that will show कि कितना one distance से second distance में how much it is going to take time, maybe the traffic कितना है इसके अंदर बीच में. Okay, so that will, it does not show your name, but those data are non-personal, but that is shown through maybe the survey, maybe the traffic data, maybe the weather reports, and many more. Okay, so these are the three important types of data which we talk about, and these all are very importantly, need to be uh, because these all are very sensitive in nature, especially the second word, the sensitive data which need to be taken care of in terms of protection. So now we have understood the different types of data. We also need to understand that why and how it has commenced. Means, when we talked about historical context or the evolution, because if we go into ancient time or early days, before the existence of computers, frankly speaking, most personal information was kept on paper. Like today, also, you will see the government officials, like, although they are on the verge of transition from paper to digitization, but still they ensure that there must be, that document of written document or on the paper, the files and the that is, those still are recorded and still, taken care. But we have seen in after 1970s, the early regulation where the computer and the internet became very common. Means it has commenced, and thereafter the huge amount of personal data started, being collected quickly and easily. Although it was not easily access to each and every personal, like we today time we have a mobile, and we can easily you can grab and get that, that data easily. So initially person realized that it's very important. Private information can be misused, can be misstolen, can be that is leaked. So that's why slowly steadily there was, like, influence, because I mentioned, if you see the before COVID and after COVID, there was a huge evolution, that major events was considered throughout the years, and we have seen influence in the development of data protection laws. So what we have seen, that when it was utilized and used more in numbers, automatically the concern of emerging concern of privacy was started existing. And then we can see there is a significantly development in the technology, which has tried that, and we are into the digital age. And when it comes to digital age, yes, surely we require to take care to provide the protection in this new challenge in the digital age. So this is how it has commenced. But if we see the year wise, how this laws has came into existence was actually seen in the 1970. And in 1970, the I can say the first is Germany made the first world first data protection law, which is also considered to be Hessen Data Protection Act. And frankly speaking, this was the first time a government protected personal data by law. And this was first commencement where we can say the seeds, or the seeds has been emerged in terms of that government has initiated the protection of personal data. Then second, we can say that is 1980. There was again OECD guidelines, which was again internationally. And the countries, they all, some of the countries, they have agreed that the basic rules for the protection they all will follow. And most important, the data privacy that need to be ensured, and they all have agreed. Apart from that, we can see in slowly growth, apart like you, after, like, see, directly from 1970 to 1980, directly the huge, at bigger level or large scale, where European Union data protection, that is directive, which has made strong rules for companies, so that they have to ensure, and that these that is guidelines or the protection directive was applicable to across the Europe. So what happened, that it was considered the users and the companies, that they cannot be misusing those data. And that's why thereafter in 2016, finally, the in Europe, that is GDPR, that is General Data Protection Regulation, which came into existence. And this was very strong and strict law, which has been given people full control over the data. Means, like, if it is my data which has been shared to the company, that, sorry, that company cannot misuse, they cannot use without my consent. If I want to delete, I want to revoke any information, so entire those, full power has been given to the people. And these were the, although I will share in details about these regulations. But then we see in India, there was India's IT Act 2000, that was the first Indian law which has mentioning about personal data protection. And that has been used the specific word, that is reasonable security practices. Means, how we can provide that security to such, reasonably, the data which has been collected by the or that whether the government or by the private sectors. And lastly, we know that in India we have finally the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2003, that is also known as DP Act India. And that was the first full law in India for only for personal data protection. That was, although the bill was introduced in 2019 and was passed in the year that is 2023. Now, when we talk about data protection laws and regulation, if you see the international perspective, so frankly speaking, the many of the countries worldwide, they have thought that there must be own regulation, means they have their own personal like laws, which actually has inspired from GDPR, and that has provided protection to digital age. So by this, what happened that internationally, data protection laws and regulation, they aim that we need to protect the information, personal information, across the borders, not limited to their country. And that's why the key framework for that is European Union, that is general data protection, has been, actually I can say that was the first initiative where it has kept the digital globally standard on privacy rights and data security and accountability. And thereafter, we know that these laws have emphasis on the very important that consent, user consent, then strict penalty in case of violation. There must be transparency from the user perspective, so that will give surely development. And this is how we see that the gender data protection, that is regulation, has the first law which came into existence. Now this law, actually regulation, came into existence in the year of 2018, that is around like during May. And this has set the how companies, because that was specifically for the companies and organization, that if they are, even they are using the location, even they are using the personal information, whether they are collecting any personal data, any of thing. So these need to be got the guidelines, and thereafter we can see that this was actually initiated, approved, and frankly speaking in 2016. But after 4 years of discussion and negotiation among European Union members, it was considered that yes, this need to be implemented. And this has been given time to the business and the organization so that they can set these rules and implement within the 2 years preparation period, because it has been approved in 2016. But the organization, they are given 2 years so that they can confirm with the preparation period, so that to implement those all guidelines and parameter which has been guided through this GDPR. Okay, and we know that this was the older law, although this was has been replaced by the modern digital world, that is the Data Protection Directive of 1995, which has been implemented. Now, when we talk about that is key features of this general data protection, that is regulation, they have, frankly speaking, they have ensured कि भाई आपको companies को client से you have to take clear consent. There should be no hidden terms कि कल को you are making confusing language which has a double interpretation, so that any the consumer or the the people, those who are providing their information, because otherwise how they can ensure their individual rights. And that's why those individual right means right to access, which have been given to the people, those who are providing, because it is a right to know where your data should be used, where the company's data is going to use. Apart from that, one of the very important rights which has been given by this regulation is data protection, let us like right to be forgotten, means you can ask company that to delete your data if you do not want to keep them any more with the that is company or organization. Apart from that, they have also, this regulation has also ensured कि no matter what, if there is like violation, means if company break these rules, they can face very large fine. Like for example, up to euro, which is the official currency of the European Union, it is, if it is a euro 20 million, okay, or 4% of annual global turnover. So for example, if company is having euro 500, that is million, the fine could be euro 20 million will be charged. So why? Because there should be a stringent punishment, heavy penalties in organization. If they fail to do, then there will be automatically, automatically to ensure the accountability protection. And the next time it will be a deterring lesson for the companies also. Apart from that, there is a California Consumer Privacy. Although I will not go in much in detail, but yes, I would like to share that California Consumer Privacy Act is another law which has been introduced in the USA, and that was also ensured significantly the privacy rights and for the people of California residents, empowering them that you can control your personal information. Apart from that, this act, this regulation, this law, which came into existence in June 2018, and after public concern, because especially the Facebook, they were handling their personal data, and it was very much needed that they should need be given protection. So what they did for businesses, they should be getting 18 months to prepare so that they can effectively implement to secure, to take care of their privacy information. And officially it has been implemented in the January 2020. So the again, the key feature, although there was not much feature of among the what we have discussed in the previous regulation, but three to four, very importantly, the California Consumer Privacy has ensured. First, right to know means you can ask the business, you can ask them to tell what personal information they have collected from you. Second, yes, right to delete, you can delete the information if it is about you. Right to opt out of sale, if like a business sells your personal data, you can stop them, you can tell them that you cannot sell my information. And most important, right to non-discrimination means business cannot treat you unfairly, like, just because you use your private privacy rights. Okay. So, and in case if any businesses, they are misusing, so they can be asked, they can be charged, they can be asked that why these data are actually used and collected. Apart from that, these are significant global regulations, such as HIPAA, then PIPEDA, then LGPD, PDPA, then Person Data Protection Act. So, for example, if you talk about that is HIPAA, which has been considered as a Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act, which has been introduced in USA, and the purpose was, yes, that to protect the health information, means doctors agar hai, hospitals hai, insurance companies, they must keep their medical reports privately, as well as keep those data securely. So for example, मैं आपको कहूँ कि hospitals, they cannot share your health reports to others without your permission, despite you have given that authority. In the same manner, the other regulation is that is PIPEDA, which has been talked about, Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, which has been introduced in Canada. And this has ensured that businesses must ask permission before using any of the information. For example, if there is a store, because you have heard a lot about in Canada, where there is an online store in Canada, they must tell you why they need your address. But if they are asking your address to deliver the product, they should be only using for that purpose. Okay, so for this purpose, they have ensured this can be, used for such disclosure, personal information cannot be misused. The other is LGPD, that is about again, the that is Personal Data Protection Act, which was implemented in Brazil. And this was again for the people, that people given must be given their control, and they can require in their business, but it must be transparent. So for example, agar koi Brazilian company, if they are using your data, so they must allow to see you, that you can see your data, that what is there, and if you want to delete, you have that access. So what happened by this, it is very easy for any of the that is uh, layman or the consumer or the user, they can automatically, they feel that is not required, so they can delete such information. So you can, कि like for example on Facebook also, कि अगर आपको अपना account, you want to close down, so that can be closed down permanently with, again, with sort of, they ask you certain questions, and then it is with your permission that can be executed. In the same manner, when we see PDPA, that is Personal Data Protection Act, so that is also like, that has been implemented in Singapore, that protect how businesses handle your personal information. And again, a mobile app, for example, in Singapore, if they are using, so must ask you first before sending your data to any of the advertisement agency. Because normally, sometimes you will see you are getting a lot of, messages, information, and you feel that this was actually, I have not asked, I have not gone through also. Although there is a emerging AI which, get the information, and it automatically, you got such advertisement information and everything on your mobile accordingly. So, when we talk about data protection laws and regulation, because we are somewhere drawing inspiration from the regulation like UE, and that is European Union, especially the GDPR. The Indian government has crafted its own regulation to balance data privacy with national security and, most importantly, economic growth, because we somewhere have influence on the international standards, and which is very very evident, because we know that the bill which was introduced in 2000, that is 19, and then accordingly it has been, globally, the important features which has been addressing the protection security has been incorporated in our that is national laws. Now, of course, before moving to the laws, it's very important to understand from the fundamental law for country, that is constitutional law. So already I have mentioned that Indian constitutional law doesn't have any explicit provision for data protection, but right to privacy is protected under Article 21 of the Constitution, that talks about right to life and personal liberty. So, for example, I have already talked about the very landmark case, that is KS Puttaswamy, that versus Union of India, which has Supreme Court has recognized the privacy as a fundamental right, and indirectly laying the foundation of data protection that need to be, influenced, and has a lot of, push, like which has been given actually reason for personal data protection bill. And if we talk about the Information Technology Act, again, this is a legal framework for transaction which provide, electronic transaction ensure validity and acceptance, and of course the digital agreements. So frankly speaking, uh, we can see the specific two provisions, like under the Information Technology Act 2000, in which that is section 43A and 72A, like 40, section 43A, if we talk about, that talks about, that companies, organization, they have to take care, proper steps to protect the sensitive person data. So for example, if your credit card details are stolen due to the company's proper that is security, so in that case the company will be responsible for the compensating you. Like you will see that if there's a higher transaction, or if any of the transaction where the company feels it's like not safe, they ask you, the customer care gives you call, that if it is you, if you have made the transaction, that please confirm one, so that they have to ensure the proper security. So that is the section 43, means in case they have to take proper steps, ensure the protections of the sensitive data. Second is section 72A, again, which talks about, that is uh, actually it focuses on the wrongful disclosure of personal information. So for example, if any employee or someone with access to your private data, they shares without your permission, so they can be punished. Like for example, if a company they leak your personal data, data is leaked, like your address or phone number, then a third party they could be face legal consequences if they are using without your consent. So these two provisions has made a very very strict provision in terms of somewhere providing protection as well as to provide the securing the personal information and to take care the proper steps from the company perspective. And in case if they are misusing these regulation, then automatically the penalty will be imposed. Like for example, if company does not secure your data, then it gets hacked, it can be fined. Or if someone misuses personal data, they are punished for 3 years. They can face up to 3 years or a fine, or that is rupees 5 lakhs. So automatically there will be deterrent theory where easily no one can be misusing your data. We know that role of Justice Sri Krishna Committee, that is India's data protection laws, plays very very vital role in terms of shaping this digital protection. Because we know that Justice Sri Krishna Committee played a very crucial role in terms of because of this the Indian government has set up the committee, and that was led by the Justice BN Sri Krishna, and they have found out how to protect personal data in India, especially as digital use, because we are growing like anything. So this committee task has provided the existing privacy laws and provided the proposed framework, which can be providing protection to the citizens in terms of personal information. So the committee has actually recommended so many that is key to the development. And finally we know that India's personal data protection which bill, which was actually influenced with the and which we know that digital that is Data Protection Act 2003 came into existence. So under this committee framework, we know that if any company collects data, they must ask you for your explicit that is consent. They must ask you before using it, and will give you as well as the option that if you want to delete, if you are wishing, that can be deleted. So because of this contribution, we know that this data that is Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, that is DPP, has came into existence. And this has actually landmark legislation which has made with the purpose of individual safeguard. So firstly we know that the scope of application for this law has been made कि भाई it should be made protection in digital person data within India, and also with respect to foreign entities which are processing such data related to individual in India. So it is not only confined to only to the Indian organization like companies, but they have ensured the right of individuals. This act ensured that is data fiduciary obligation, so that the companies they should be handling these personal data very very safely, security, implement the measures, and authorities must be, if they are misusing, they are that is breaching, then in case of that the penalty will be imposed. So before any law came to existence, there are certain principles, like why this data protection, understanding the foundation, the roots, the principles, that uh, if we want to make it effectively, what are the essence to comply. Okay, and for that compliance we know that first the very very important principles which has been used that is for the purpose of data protection is data that is minimization and purpose limitation. So what it works and how this jurisprudence works is mainly on the justice, fairness and reasonableness in terms of your data protection. So how it do, for example, if you register online seminar, for example, you all have registered, okay, the website will only ask you for your details like your name and email. Now they will not ask any information. that is about your income, your medical history. Okay, so automatically your this individual privacy, and this can be avoid misuse, aligning with the jurisprudence of idea of limiting the state or private, that is power of individual. In the same manner, when we talk about purpose limitations, so they ensure that data must be collected specifically. So for example, if you share your phone number with the bank for account updates, they cannot legally use to send your unrelated, like marketing messages without your fresh consent. Okay, you will see that they will ask you that you need that promotional messages or not. So that is a purpose limitation, means it will be confined for particular users only. Those details which has been taken by the company or any banking sector, or any organization. The other is transparency and accountability, very importantly, because for example, if there is a, I just give you example that a shopping app, okay, must always tell you that what data they collect, why they needed it, and with whom they might share it. So that is a privacy policy. And it's very important that that sensitization of private transparency in your data wherever it is used, because otherwise it is not building the trust with the stakeholders. So same manner, when it comes to accountability, it is very importantly, like a company like must show evidence of security measures, staff training, because it's necessary that whoever the staff who is doing in the transaction or in use in the communication, this should be intimated, trained, and if there's a breach, they must report to the customers, they must report to the individual, or the that is because if there is a redressal, or if there is any concern, the person whose data has been leaked, they need to be intimated. Okay, apart from that, we know that security and confidentiality also play a very important role when it comes to principles, because for example, your any hospital, they store a lot of patient records. So in terms of, it is their duty to secure digital system with limited access, so ensuring that only authorized staff, not that any individual in the company or the hospital sector can be used. So we know that if it comes to uh, that is such hospital access, it will be only the particular person or the doctor which have access to such data. In the same manner, confidentiality. Okay, so we know that a lawyer is also supposed to not to disclose the client information, that is to other without the consent of the client permission. So automatically, because it requires to protect the dignity and privacy of the individual, aligning with the jurisprudence which actually emphasizes with the human respect and ethical responsibility. So it's very importantly, when we talk about the principles, it really needed to implement the compliance, and for this purpose, what the company must ensure, because there are certain system need to be established, because apart from law, it is very much needed that whether they should doing the account, that is data audits from time to time. They must be checking that, for example, if there is a college, okay, we are keeping the student records. So for example, if there is a change in the details, or if there is a old data which need to be deleted in terms of staying safe, because later on it cannot be misused by any other person. In the same manner, when we talked about that is privacy policy, means the privacy policy must be explained to the employees. It creates confidence, as well as they are actually knowing it. Okay, for example, you are doing shopping on website, that must publish the privacy policy, telling user what data is collected, how it is, like protected. Although we all know that there are so many details that we just click yes, 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 and we are really not going through the that policy detailing, that what exactly the interpretation and what exactly it will be the having the consequences. Same manner, it is very important whenever any company is like dealing with such details and the datas, the company employees must be trained, they should be knowing the practices, they must knowing the step by step care, so that there should be no deficiency or loopholes in the data leakage. Apart from that, regular review is very very important, because company must be updating its security system, because we know that nowadays, whether it is like if you're using quickkill also, it need to be upgraded, it must be latest version, so that it should be protecting from the trust data which has been shared with you. Apart from that, what best practices of data can be used by the like organization? Of course, that is encryption, which is very very important methods or tools, where they can provide, they can actually use the tools in terms of converting that is information into a secret code, so that even if someone steals that data, then automatically they cannot be understand by anyone. We know that, like for example, if you're doing online payment, you will see that whatever transaction you're doing through card, that is encrypted, so it is very safe, so hackers cannot go through the detailings of that, those data of your cards which you have incorporated. Okay, in the same manner, if we see the very importantly, the best practices what the good organization and the companies they do is uh, access controls, means they are only allowing the right people to use such sensitive information. Like already I have given an example of hospital, like only doctors and nurses can use and access the patient medical records, not the entire all staffs. Same manner, regular assessments, which will always fix them, that where they are lacking, where there are weak point, and how it can be stronger security can be ensured. For example, a bank may hire experts where like every year to check its online banking system is truly secure or not, because it's very importantly sometimes the managers are also not very techo, so it's importantly regularly in from time to time that these tools need to be implemented. Apart from that, under this act, we know that there is a role of data protection officer. Now, this role is very very important, because under this act, the because whenever any information person data is handling by the company, okay, organization or big huge data, which must be appointed by compulsory by DPO, okay, and their job is mainly to ensure that from time to time all data protection rules are followed. Whether like for example, if a hospital collects thousands of patients like records, so DPO has to check that hospital is safely storing the data, getting proper consent from the like patient, or reporting any data leak, that is leak. So if anything, any loophole is there, they need to work on that stringent, that for protection and security. So DPO has also duty, also a point of contact between the organization and the government authority on data protection, that is matters. And DPO has also duty to help employees in terms of review the privacy policy and solve any problems related to data handling. In simple words, so DPO is very, they are providing in that safety and security in terms of if any leakage, means to create the system to provide the protection, as well as to ensure if there is any loophole to how to handle and how to take care. So very essence of that is I think I like to just go in very shortly, that what is needed is very importantly that data collection and consent, okay, which is very very prerequisite requirement, means these are very very important information, personal information. And when it comes to, when you, for example, when you download any app in your mobile, okay, it should ask you clearly whether you agree to share your location, normally you will see, okay, or contacts. So it is up to you, because this language should be very clear, simply it should be same, means any layman can understand those words. And this is how you will have a like people have a full control over their data, because they are meaningly understanding the information, that why they are using, what they are going to be going to do it. Okay, so if you, for example, if you sign any newsletter, you will see you should be able to unsubscribe. If you don't want, you can unsubscribe any of the time, if you consent and if you can provide those data. So Digital Data Protection Act strictly rules ensure that companies not only collect the necessary data but also ensure the consent, and it should be used, protected properly. Another is very importantly that rights have been given to the that is people of their information. They have full control over the information, and that's why rights of data subjects has been ensured under this act. So for example, if you have an account of an account with a shopping website, you can request to see the information, like what your name, your address, your purchasing details, history has been stored. Now you have right to rectify the data which has been information has been mentioned. You can replace, for example, if you go in Amazon, if you want to change the address, or you if you want to add the address, you can do, you can rectify, you can delete your account also. Okay, so this is considered to be rights have been given to the people under this act. Apart from that, obligation of data processor and control, because at the end, once the data is actually given handed, then they must possess this specific responsibility, means they should be handled with care. So for example, if hospital has a data controller, because it decide what patient information it collects, like medical records, and how the data is used for treatment, for billing, because it is used for multi-purpose, like where insurance, through insurance it can be used, it can be used for research also sometime. So it is very importantly that the data processors entity, where it need to ensure that, because they are handling on behalf of the controller. So when any company is handling on the behalf of the hospital, okay, they need to ensure that those information cannot be leaked actually, and it should be only used for that specific purpose. So there is a stricter rules have been made under this act, that obligation on the part of data processor as well as the controllers. Now the last part of my today's that is session is very much important, that what are the challenges and future direction. So when we talk about, there are so many challenges that when it comes to you know uh, data protection, because nowadays we know that now we are not only limited to this data protection, but also rise of artificial intelligence. Although I will not go, because I think in the upcoming days you have a lot of numbers of session on artificial intelligence and the big data, that is has been very very easier for the company to collect and analyze the vast, that is information or amount of personal information. So this create a huge challenge in terms of how that privacy, the people privacy should be respected. And similarly, you can see the internet of things, like where everyday devices like watches and collected data, which raises various concern, where how to control it. And another challenge what we are facing in today's time, frankly speaking, is cyber attacks, where hackers are having different mode to steal and try to steal the person data. And sometimes it is an organization very very hard to actually identify that how to figure out that who has stolen, and the how to tackle these issues. And lastly, somewhere what I feel is, of course, that the future when it comes to data protection, there will be more advanced security technology like blockchain and better encryption methods globally, that is which is has been going to implement or cooperated, where we need to connect the world. And that's why it needs to be ensured that how these challenges can be curtail, or we can actually provide protection. So these are the various current challenges when we talk about, like which already I have said. Normally the first challenge is regarding compliance. So across the different platform region, Like for example, global company, if we talk about Facebook, it faced a digital, like difficulty flowing the Indian Digital Personal Data Protection Act, because it is very difficult for the Facebook to adhere to the laws of India. Okay, because while also adhering laws to the European Union. So these are another challenge in terms of cyber security threats. Apart from that, we also have a constraint of lack of awareness and training. So frankly speaking, still I think this is a very very major issue, that many small businesses or organization, they are not fully understanding the complexity of data protection laws. So what happened, like a good example, if you can see the retail store, they collect customer emails but does not securely store them to get a clear consent for marketing purposes. So these are various upcoming, we can say, current challenges which we are facing in today's time. Apart from that, of course we know that impact of emerging technologies, a portion, like there are artificial rise of artificial intelligence, which already I've discussed. And yes, another emerging that is challenge is blockchain, which is again how to present these challenges in data protection, and how much amount of information required to handle and secure such data is again a concern. And lastly, we know that, for example, there are many of smart thermostats where they can steal your data, and there's no stringent laws, and how to protect that privacy is really a concern. And lastly, if we come to that future trends, and that is legislative development. So of course we need to you know provide protection, provide, actually focus on that, how we can still come out with the various solution to stay safe as technology is evolving every day. Because we need a stronger, not only in our country, but yes, we can say that uniformity which should be applied all over, that is worldwide, where the important trend, like for example uses of artificial intelligence to enhance the cyber security. AI can be a very very helpful, but again every coin has a two sides, where sometime I feel that different country, they can log in from different way, and the signal and the data breach is again a lot of constraint. For example, if I tell you that banks are actually increasingly using AI, and especially in the terms of monitor suspicious activity in real time nowadays. So how to prevent fraud, to protect customer data, and data, that is localization laws, how it should be border, across border, these things can be protected. So what I feel is, yes, of course, the India's digital uh, personal data protection act requires company to store, to ensure the that is control and protection and the sensitivity. But still I feel that still miles that we have to future development in terms of great transparency, and how the company can deal with. I think still we need to uh, go miles to go actually. And but still I feel that uh, through awareness, through training, through awareness, and through the rigorous uses and implementation of the role of the government as well as the citizen, where we should be also ensuring that how much we should be taking care of our data when we are providing awareness. These all things will really make a lot of difference. So with this note, I would like to end my session, which I've tried to go in short, and the best way what I can be delivering in terms of easiest way, so that everyone can understand the foundation of data protection regulations, whether it is internationally and nationally. Also, that what are the important, that is areas, the principle, the jurisprudential aspects, and most important, what are the challenges, and how the future trends are going to be, before us, and how future, legislative reforms can be bringing the solution in terms of data protection. So, with this note, I would like to thank all of you for listening, and be part of this very, very important, that is capacity building program on data protection, that is regulations and AI. And now I will request the organizer, if anyone has question, I will look forward to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insights. Now we open the floor for question answer. Whosoever have any questions, you can write your questions in the chat box. We will take from the chat box.
There are 4 5 questions are there in the chat box. Okay, good evening, madam. What's your say on data localization as a step for data protection?
See,
Thank you.
when we talk about data localization, see, it differ from, place to place. So when it comes to any businesses, any requirement, whether it is a cultural environmental requirement also. So the local authorities as well as the government has to, delegate the powers. So accordingly, those, reformation and the norms should be created, and that will be really helping hand, because sometimes it's like, we if we are, taking those powers in terms of, with the central or state only, so it will be very difficult. So I think that will be really helping hands when it provides to local, authorities should be given under the constitution also. We know that these powers are enshrined.
Okay. Uh, Another question: is there one window platform to lodge the complaint regarding violation?
See, frankly speaking, at present, I think in India has, miles to go, because still we are really facing a lot of challenges in terms of where the leakage, where, how these information are leaked, and at one platform, I think we can see the cyber cell, for example, cyber crime also. If you see, these things were still, they are not being, trained in such a way that these information can be actually acquired. So what I feel, it's like miles to go still.
Yeah. Some questions are like how to know whether data has been leaked.
See, it's like, as I mentioned, how to, get the data has to leaked is very, very crucial. It's very difficult actually. But I think the like, for example, when the security and how the, like, any organization they are doing, so the security, and from that these things can be, the police can be identifying those, various perspective, that how it can be used, how it can be taken, and how it can be leaked actually, not through any particular one place where we can identify, because there is a channel, I can say there can be channel where it can be, identify that from this to this is can be leaked, or it can be used by the hackers or by any person.
Sure, sure. We'll take up last question. What do you think, like the provision of Data Protection Act is sufficient? What kind of changes, what do you think it requires? It's sufficient or not? Yes. What's your view on this?
Frankly speaking, that's why I said, because we are coming with AI, and uh, when we see AI, I think the act has not been, frankly speaking, any. We cannot say any of the law is like, bad until unless it has been implemented fully. And when any law come into existence, so it requires, implementation process. So it is a 2023 law, so let us see at least three years to see how it is, implementing in true sense. But yes, if you see as you asked me what changes, what I feel, my, like, as my observation is AI perspective, where it need to be reformed and added, the provision for such protection, like whether it's a blockchain or emerging areas.
Thank
Good.
you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Yeah. Yuvraj, over to you.
thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Hiranshi Shah, ma'am, the founder of Samab Initiative and young member of Singapore International Arbitration Center, for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Raj. First of all, ma'am, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude uh, over to you for this wonderful session and also resolving so many queries of the participants also. So thank you so much, ma'am. And once again, I also thanks to all participants whosoever join us today and make this day one successful. Thank you, everyone. Once again, Rekha, ma'am, thank you not just only for this wonderful session, but also accepting our invitation. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm in fact grateful, Iranshi, that because especially the Kalpesh sir and you people have actually thought about me and given me this opportunity to connect. And it is always feel honor to have to express on this great platform where the youth, especially the youth, actually those who are going to be future lawyer, and somewhere some people were opposed practicing also, so to connect, so that is really a great opportunity, and thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening me, and looking forward for more such session. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.